Alright, hey guys, I'm going to teach you about 1920s politics. So we're going to look at in what ways did the spoils system become a political problem once again? How was the Kellogg-Briand Pact not realistic? So again, we're looking at politics, so a lot of policy, presidents, things like that during the 20s. Okay, so we're starting with the Harding administration. And you need to know that Warren Harding will run for president in 1920, and he's going to promise a return to normalcy. So everything's getting normal again, he promises. And remember, what he's talking about is World War I is over. Our boys have come home. Now we're going to return back to a peaceful state. The factories will go back to producing what they were producing before the war, so on and so forth. Um, Unfortunately, he makes a poor choice and gives cabinet positions to his friends. He's from Ohio, and these groups of friends that he's got are nicknamed the Ohio Gang. He plays poker with them, gambles, and later what we find out is they use their positions to sell government jobs and even pardons to people. Okay, so they're involved in illegal activity by basically, using their position to make money. All right, then we have Teapot Dome. Harding Secretary of Interior Albert Fall secretly allowed leasing of land along U.S. Navy oil reserves in Wyoming. The town was called Teapot Dome, Wyoming. So he's secretly allowing the leasing of this land and gets bribes of more than $300,000 to let private citizens lease this land that really is U.S. government property. And I'm sure extract oil and things from it. So this turns on Harding, even though Harding doesn't do the action because he had his Ohio Gang cabinet members. This is one of them involved in illegal activities. Of course, it looks bad on the president, and he dies of a heart attack in 1923. Many people thought because of all of this nasty political scandal. So Teapot Dome, I brought my teapot to show you. So that's how you can remember Teapot Dome, Wyoming. You can imagine like oil coming out of here. This is the problem was that they were leasing these oil reserves in Teapot Dome, Wyoming, and he should not have been. Okay. As to that, here is a picture of if it comes up, of a teapot, and it's like railroading, or we could say steamrolling over all these folks, and it says White House Highway is headed to the White House. So it's about to basically crash into the White House. Here's another one, Teapot Capitol, where the Capitol is like a teapot and it's boiling over with all the scandal. And one more just to show you the area. This is Teapot Dome, Wyoming. Okay, so it's pretty rugged land where the Navy was had the oil reserves. Okay, next we have the Coolidge administration. So Harding dies, therefore his VP takes over, right? So that would be Coolidge. And Calvin Coolidge quickly, now he's vice president under Harding, but all of a sudden he acts like, hey, I've never done anything wrong. He's trying to separate himself from the Harding administration. I saw Al Gore do this as our vice president after Bill Clinton's scandal. Like he tried to act like when he was running for president that he was really going to not be involved in any of those scandals that Bill Clinton had been in. So Coolidge is going to run for president. He's going to serve out his vice president to president term. And then he runs again for president in 1924 as a Republican, and he's going to have the slogan, keep cool with Coolidge. Like, I'm going to avoid all crises and no, just keep Coolidge. Anyway, it's really bad slogan with the fan. But anyway, he's going to keep everything cool and prosperous and no problems, right? Now, meanwhile, this is a big problem. The allies to the U.S. from World War I are having a hard time paying off their war debt. And they cannot, because the allies, and remember, this would have been like Britain, France, Russia even, because of all the devastation from war, they cannot afford to buy our products because they're still just digging out from the war. So because they can't buy our products, our trade is hurt, right? Our industries and things. So also you see that Germany cannot pay those reparations. I mean, of course they cannot pay those. We knew they couldn't pay them. Wilson knew they couldn't pay them, but the world wouldn't listen. So they can't pay their reparations. Therefore, they're not paying. Germany is not paying the allies from the war, France, Britain, Russia. Therefore, France, Britain, and Russia cannot buy our stuff because they have no money. So it says it was crippling our economy, much less the economies of these two groups of countries. Okay, so with that, Charles Dawes comes up with a plan, and it is called the Dawes Plan, in fact. All right, so this plan called the Dawes Plan says there's an agreement between France, Britain, and Germany where American banks make loans to Germany. Then Germany turns around and takes that money and pays off its reparation bills to the Allies. Then the Allies are saying they would accept less money than the $33 billion as long as they get something. And what we hope they do is they turn around and buy our stuff now that they have money. Dawes Plan, okay? Not Dawes Act, which we learned dealt with Indians. This is Dawes Plan. Now I have a picture of this, and it shows the U.S. is going to give money, right, to Germany. Then Germany's going to take that money, and the Allies are willing to accept less than they were supposed to get, and they give that money to Britain and France. And there was another ally. Remember which one that was? Russia. But Russia at this point is going to refuse our money. We'll get into that later. So Britain and France, and then Britain and France, we hope, will turn around, follow the line, and give us back some of that in the form of buying our trade. So this is the Dawes Plan, okay? All right, so Washington Naval Conference. Meanwhile, Charles Evans Hughes proposes a 10-year halt on all construction of warships. We've been through all this war. We've been building up weapons, and he says, you know what? We need to all calm down. So he says, let's have a 10-year halt on the construction of warships. This is agreed upon by Britain, France, Italy, Japan, and the United States. The Japanese are fine with this because, frankly, they've gotten so much that they've built up while we've all been fighting that they're still ready to, do anything to anybody at any point. So they've got plenty. Okay, Kellogg Brand Pack. So I brought with me Raisin Bran. Kellogg Raisin Bran. Kellogg. That's how you remember. Kellogg Brand, like little kids eating their cereal, and they're so cute and sweet. Said U.S. and 14 other nations would abandon all war and hold hands and be sweet to each other like little children. We would settle all disputes peacefully. Not like the children in my house, okay, who kick and bite, but peacefully. So Kellogg Brand said, no more war. Well, of course, we all want no more war because war's horrible. Europe has just come out of this complete devastation, okay? So World War I was just completely disastrous for them. So this is why they say no more war. But that, in fact, is not what's good. That's not realistic, as you know. But anyway, it's because they've come out of such bad times, they promise no more war. We'll see how long they keep that Kellogg Brand Pack. Okay, as to our economy back home, because this factors into the politics side, in the 20s, automobile becomes part of our way of life. Welfare capitalism takes hold. Employers raise wages in order to get people out of unions because they don't want people unionized, right? They don't want to pay them a certain amount that the labor union says to. So bosses raise wages a little, slightly. A car maker, Henry Ford, I brought my little car here. Henry Ford is going to adopt a moving assembly line. Watch this, moving assembly line. So little people work on each part of the car as the car is moving down the line. Okay, and they have to work, we'll start over the line very, very quickly. So they're working one person here, then one person here, then one person here, then one person here. It's moving. It says they had cars doing this using division of labor. That means each person did their own job at his Ford plant in Michigan. His car was called the Model T. They rolled off the line every 10 seconds. Okay, I'll go back to Dawes Pun in a minute. Certainly the car is going to change way of life. For sure, going to change the American way of life. But not only do we have the introduction of the car, but we also have Wilbur and Orville Wright from Dayton, Ohio, who powered the first powered crewed flight in history. Okay, at Kitty Hawk, as you know, North Carolina. So I brought with me, I have this airplane, little airplane. This will inspire so much. As someone said the other day in class, I think the Wright brothers start to worry later on in life that what they have created has become a killing machine in war that will be used later. As you know, we actually have the introduction of the airplane during World War I, as you saw with the video we watched from Khan Academy, but it will become massive in World War II. So they have the first powered flight. I can show you, here's the Wright brothers. They are Kitty Hawk, first powered flight, as you're well aware of that. They're from Ohio. Also, you have Charles Lindbergh, also known as Lucky Lindy. Here's his picture. I'll show you real quick. I actually saw this airplane. It was the coolest thing ever. It's in the Smithsonian. It hangs up in the rooftops. You can look up when you walk in and see it. Spirit of St. Louis is his plane. And he is the first person to fly nonstop from New York to Paris. May 1927. He actually had to crack the window open at the cockpit to stay awake because he kept falling asleep. Just amazing, amazing feat. He will come up again later. So other consumer changes. NBC and CBS networks start radio broadcasting. They're not on TV yet, but they have a radio station. Mass advertising, because we now have these radio stations, we have mass advertising. So companies are putting announcements in, jingles and things on the radio. This leads to also billboards. Also, you start to see the first soap operas, which are literally soap commercials. And then they decided to make like little stories after each commercial. So the stories got to be called soap operas because so many of their commercials were actually selling soap. Consumer economy, large amount of spending in the 20s. Spending, spending, spending. No longer do you have to pay cash up front. It's an installment plan. Now, they don't have credit cards yet. But what they do is say, like, put it on my tab. So eventually they'll make partial payment until the debt is paid, or each month they're supposed to make a payment. It leads to debt. Prior to this, we can't even conceive, but people didn't have debt. If you didn't have the money, then you didn't buy it. Okay, signs of bad times had the rich get richer like Ford and the poor get poorer. I mean, with him running all these cars off the line every 10 seconds up here, it is cha-ching time for Henry Ford. Okay, increased buying on credit, as we said, forces a lot of Americans into significant debt. You also have the less wealthy are going to buy stock on margin, which means they're going to buy the stock for a fraction of the actual price, and they borrowed the rest. So if it's $5 a share, they might pay $1 to $2 and owe the other $3 to $4. And they hope the stock goes up enough, it's like gambling. They hope it goes up enough that they can pay off their debt. Well, what happens is it doesn't go up enough. So they're in a huge amount of debt. Supply is in some being greater than demand in the stock market. And you also have falling farm prices that leave a lot of farmers in debt. I think I showed you everything. I do want to show you this one thing of Dawes' plan, which kind of depicts what I was showing you, where the USA makes loans to Germany. Germany pays their reparations, although smaller amount than promised. And Britain and France buy our stuff, pay back their debt to us. Okay? So let's go back to the essential questions. How did the spoils system become a problem again? Down here with Harding's administration, the Ohio gang, his poker buddies, he puts in charge of his cabinet, and they're making deals, selling pardons, doing illegal activities, plus the Teapot Dome scandal. how was the Kelly O'Brien impact not realistic? I mean, obviously, folks,